the afflictions of the righteous, but the Lord delivereth him out of them. Verse 20, he keepeth all his bones, not one of them is broken. Okay. So what that says, that the Lord hears our cry. The Lord hears when we get distressed and perplexed. So today, we're going to look at, just for an hour, because I don't believe in talking for more than an hour. So we're going to look at depression. So I'm going to ask for the first screen, the first PowerPoint screen, please. Chanel, please. Thank you. So understanding depression. So today, we're going to get an overview of what depression is and how it affects people. An overview of what depression is and how it affects people. Slide number 2, please. Number 2, please, yeah. The next one. Okay. Okay, since I've got it on my phone, so it's okay. Since it's a shame because I want the PowerPoint is much better. Okay. So yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's you're there now. So what is depression? Depression is a common mental health condition that affects mood, thoughts, and daily functioning. Depression is a condition that affects mood, thoughts, and daily functioning. Can I ask a question? Does anyone know of anyone in their family or within their network who would you consider to be having mood swings or having different thoughts, or they seem to function differently to how somebody you would consider to be, the word quote unquote, normal? Do you know anybody like that? Do you know moody people? Do you know people who has mood swings? Yeah, you do? Do you see people that struggles with their daily function? And when you see that, what do you understand it to be? So you might see me and say, boy, you know what, that Stephen, that brother's moody. But have you ever thought about what could be causing the mood? Do you ever think that why is Stephen behaving the way he behaves? Because oftentimes the situation we find ourselves in, oh, Amanda is just moody, it's just who she is. But we don't look at the cause and the effect. That's the problem. And we sit right there and we say, that person is just a miserable person. That person isn't functioning right. The person's thoughts just seem so strange and off key. But we never try and delve down what that person could be going through. We don't take the time to do that. What we do is we end up judging people. Just saying, you know what, that person's just moody. But we don't know what their experience is or what they're going through. And obviously, in the society we live in, we've heard of many situations. I think there was a court hearing this. There was a sentencing of a gentleman who was in a psychiatric hospital under mental health. He was released in the community, and he actually killed somebody. Yeah, and that was on the news. They were sentenced yesterday to indefinite incarceration, and it was said that when this person, if he's fit for discharge, he must go to trial for murder. Definitely. But if he ever gets to a point where he's fit for discharge, he must go on trial for murder. So when you think about depression, it can affect your mood, it can affect your thoughts and your daily functioning. So let's look at some of the symptoms. Next slide, please. Some of the symptoms that are common. These are common symptoms. You've got what? persistent sadness. Now, I don't know what's going on for your own life, but you may be able to identify with some of these things. So you've got a common symptoms being persistent sadness, when you're just constantly sad and you're thinking, why in the world am I just sad all the time? It could just be that you're depressed. Yeah? It could be that you're depressed because there are people who are just sad all the time. Sandra. Can I have this mic on, please? Could you have a runner? Thank you, Quinn. Right, so Sandra's saying that.
So I'm saying that there's something that's officially called SAD syndrome.
Right.
And a lot of us don't realize that we're even experiencing it. But during the winter,
Yep.
because we have long winters, you get more and more depressed sometimes because of the length of the time. It's cold, it's dark. You get up in the morning, it's dark. You go to bed, it's dark. Like, it is quite challenging.
But the word you used was depressed. So that sadness, sad syndrome,
yeah,
with the word is also attributed to, as the word you said, they're depressed.
yeah.
Yeah? Okay. Also, do you know anybody, or have you oh, sorry, go on, Dawn.
I was going to say, I would just add to that list to say overwhelm.
Overwhelmed, yeah? Okay, that's fine.
So,
yeah.
Because I think that kind of falls in line that if you're overwhelmed, you're just paralyzed.
Okay, thank you. Do you sometimes feel that in life you just lose interest in life sometimes? Do you think that what's the point carrying on? You know, this life is what it is, and why do I need to keep carrying on? Loss of interest is a common symptom, right? You know, fatigue is also a common symptom when you're constantly tired, when sometimes you can't sleep at night time, and sometimes you have sleep apnea. You know, sometimes you go to bed and you just stay awake for the whole night. I've been through, you go to bed and you try to go to sleep and you just cannot sleep, and you're wondering, what is causing that? What is causing me not to sleep? Yeah? And then it causes fatigue. Sometimes it causes fatigue, yeah? That's also a common symptom of depression. You've also got changes of sleep or appetite. Do you know that? A common symptom is a change of sleep or appetite. So you know, some people they struggle with it, their sleep changes, but also their appetite changes also. And you're wondering, why is my food, why am I changing my diet? Why am I changing my food? Some might say I want to lose weight, which is obviously a fact. But sometimes just a change of appetite, a change of your diet, the way you eat, the way you drink, what you eat, what you drink, can also be a common symptom of depression. And also, there's feelings of worthlessness. Are there times in your experience when you feel rejected and abandoned? Do you know anybody who feels rejected and abandoned? When you feel that you're worthless, or no one recognizes you or sees you, right? That also is a common symptom of depression. Now, my question is, why would somebody feel worthless? Why? Why would somebody feel worthless?
Around you.
Right.
So you might also not have something that you're working towards. So that can, and also if you link to your self-worth as well, self-esteem, confidence, that kind of thing.
Okay.
If you don't have those, you can feel worthless.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, if you're in an environment where you've been put down.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. You're belittled.
Yes.
And you're being criticized
yes.
for every little thing. That can cause you to feel worthless.
How often, think about as parents, how often have we ridiculed our children and put them down and talked to them in a certain way, and we think it's an old school mentality, that's the way we were brought up. Do you know the impact it can have on children when you make them feel worthless? They can start to what? Self-harm. Yeah. They can start to form relationships with people they would never normally have a relationship with. You understand what I'm saying to you? When someone feels worthless, they're actually quite vulnerable. And when they're vulnerable, They tend to do things that they would never normally do. So when we think about talking to each other, we shouldn't be talking to anybody and making them feel worthless or useless. But the sad thing is we do it. And the world actually kind of puts you in that frame of mind where, you know what do you know? You know, at work, especially in social care, and Lorraine would know this, and that's why Delphore and Queenie would know this in our work that we do. When you make a mistake, the underline is, what is the learning from this? But deep down, it's not that they want someone to blame. That's the bottom line. They've got to blame somebody, right? And the worst thing is when you made a mistake at work, even at church or at home sometimes, you feel bad enough already. But the worst thing is when on top of that, someone goes, you know what, you're worthless, you're whatless. What do you know? The impact of those words are so crucial in our life, it can make you get depressed. And then you start to become what? Isolated. You don't want to talk to nobody. You're scared to talk to somebody. Even in church, it might sound strange. You may be asked to do a prayer or a scripture reading. Now, if you feel that, boy, you know what, it didn't go too well, and you made a mistake, and someone starts laughing at you, I guarantee you, you don't want to go there again. You don't, because for fear of being told, you know, you're worthless, right? What I'm saying is that the language you use to each other is so important. So nobody should be really going around saying or making someone feel that they're worthless or they're useless. We should be empowering people, elevating people, supporting people, empowering people, and lifting them up. Sandra.
I think what's really depressing now, as I get older, is the number of people dying. Friends, close friends, family members, just going one, one, one. I mean, we've had like 3 people die in the space of a couple of weeks. For me, that is quite depressing.
Right.
Because you don't even want to open your messages anymore because every message is somebody sick, dying, or dead. On the two. So I don't know if anybody that resonates with anybody, but I think I think even if you get even older, it must be even worse because it doesn't get any better.
Mm-hmm.
The number of people. So you're always thinking like, who's next? Who's next? Is it me? I mean, if it's me, it's okay. I won't know. But for anybody else, like you get to know, and it is bad news again and again and again. Does anybody have?
Okay. So can I ask a question? Being depressed, does it make that person weak? It doesn't. Because when you're depressed, there's something going on in your life that's causing it. Yeah? But do we take the time to talk to people who you may see Nadine as bubbly, singing at church every Sabbath, doing what she's doing, and then one day the mood changes, or you can see there's a different kind of Nadine. Do we ever try and find out? Not just saying Nadine as an example. Do we ever try and find out what's wrong with that person? Do we ever take interest in people that may be going through stuff? Because often we hear, "I'll pray for you. I'm praying for you." That's the key word, you know. You get a text come through. "Dear Stephen, I'm going through a hard time. I'm not feeling too great. I'm really struggling." You send about a prayer sign. No. What I'm saying is, invoke a conversation with somebody because you don't know what they're going through. That could be also a cry for help. You understand? But oftentimes, we just say, "I'll pray for you." I'll come to you, Nikki. I remember there was a pastor who was in financial trouble and he wanted help. And he went to the president at the time and said, "Hey, Mr. President, I'm going through some financial difficulties and I need some support." Yeah? He goes, "Oh, pastor, come into my office. Let's have a little discussion." And when the man told the president of what he was going through, the president, as I said, "Let's have a word of prayer." What he needed was some practical support at that time. But sometimes we hide under the cliche of saying, "I'll pray for you." And what does that even mean? "I'll pray for you." You offer a word of, "I'll pray for you." What the person needs is some practical and physical support. All that can also tie into becoming depressed, when you're thinking, you know what, I need help. I need some support. And there's nobody around to help me. So you just get into your state. When you're feeling sick and you're feeling a bit under the weather and there's nobody around you, it's not a great feeling, you know, especially when you're by yourself and no one ain't checking in with you to say how you're doing. It can leave you in a depressive state. And that's why, as God's people, what we need to be doing is that we're not nosy Parkers, but look out for each other, support each other, talk to each other. Nikki.
Yeah, I was saying at least they reached out to you. You have to think about the ones who don't reach out at all because they don't know who to reach out to or even how to reach out, you know. But you're talking about depression. I want to talk about postnatal depression.
Okay.
Because, you know, when people have babies, oh, you know, this baby and everything, and sometimes the care of the mother, especially afterwards, and that's a really serious thing, postnatal depression, because it's a huge transition in your life. And I'm talking from personal experience here. And it is really difficult because having a baby, especially your first child, is people just talk about the baby, and the baby is cute, and all of that stuff. Childbirth isn't cute. Labor isn't cute. The transition in your life is a whole upheaval, and you need people around you to support you. So that's another thing we have to be mindful of, especially when we see our young people have babies, and especially if they're not in a supportive family and so on, it can be very difficult for them. So we have to really rally around people when they're going through. But you know, that's part of building a relationship. But I have to go back.
Yes, go ahead.
To when I first came to this country.
Right.
And it took me years to actually put a name to what happened to me because I didn't even know the word depression then. I was absolutely, totally depressed. I was off my face with depression. I got up every day and I cried. Every morning I woke up, I realized I wasn't at home in Jamaica with my grandparents. I burst into tears again. It went on for month after month after month. I lost my appetite. I went to school, didn't learn anything. And this was a whole transition for me because in Jamaica, I was absolutely fine. That was my home. I had a family, I had a home, I had people who supported me, people who I could talk to, and a wider family. I grew up in a village, like, you know, the village grow the child. That's how I grew up. And I came here and it was total opposite.
Right.
And it was cold. It was, for those of you who may not know, I came here to my mom, but I didn't know her.
Right.
So I came to a complete stranger. I mean, you could have just put me to be with the next person who walked around the corner on the street. That's how I felt. And even now, I can't. It's even hard talking about it now.
Right.
It was such a transition for me at the time, and I didn't know what was happening to me. It was years later, on reflection, I thought, you know, child, you were really depressed and off your face. I left Jamaica coming first in my class, came here, failed everything. Everything. It took me years to build myself back up. So for me, you know, your environment,
Yep.
the people who you have around you, I realize I have to be careful with my environment.
Right.
Because if the people who are around me are not good and supporting people, then it affects me really badly.
Right.
And so that's really important for me. But yeah, it's hard. It's difficult.
It's interesting what you said. You said in Jamaica you had the village kind of environment, but also you were top in your class.
Yeah.
So you came up as an A student to the United Kingdom.
I did.
And then you went to school because of the environment.
Yeah.
You found yourself a bottom
Nothing.
class student. So those looking on would say you're worthless.
Yeah.
You're worthless. But back home, in that
wasn't-
environment
that
you was
wasn't
in,
the
you were A class.
Absolutely.
So that's what I'm saying. Sometimes it's what causes that. We're going to go on. That's the next slide. Is that
Yeah.
What causes us to be depressed, right?
Yeah.
And it's not. And I think to admit you're depressed, some people think that, you know, I don't want to talk about it because obviously I don't want to be seen as being weak or I don't want to be seen as being needy. But I'm saying to us, we need to talk about this stuff.
Yeah.
Because if you internalize it, it actually gets worse.
Yeah.
Because you haven't got an outlet. And what happens one day is that, like a balloon, if you put water in a balloon and you fill up the balloon, it gets big. Eventually, that balloon's going to burst. And then you often wonder, why do people commit suicide?
Yeah, but the outward signs were there, Stephen, and people could see it.
Yeah.
But the person who was supposed to be helping was not helping at all.
Right.
Why you like this? Why you get up crying every day? Why you crying for your grandmother? And it just went on and on and on and on. So you can't recover in that environment.
Okay.
I was
And then Nadine. No, go the one, then Nadine.
I was also going to say, Nikki spoke on postnatal depression, and I would also say repetitive emotional trauma, where you're just getting over one and something else comes. That knock you down, you stagger back up. But I'm just sort of talking in emotional terms.
Okay.
So you stagger to recover from that one.
Yeah.
You turn to the left and something else knocks you down. And as you're going through that, you're thinking to yourself, I can't cope anymore. Sorry.
Okay. You okay?
It's a lot. It's a lot. And so I think, even though you think you're a strong person, and the tears is like tears of being able to express it. But when you don't have anyone to express it to, and then you feel isolated, then all these other things start coming down the line to you, and it's hard. It's hard to be able to work your way through it. So you do need your community. You do need your community, and sometimes people outside of the community, like I got a random call from Sister Joyce. I don't normally speak to Sister Joyce apart from being here, but the fact that she caught me on a day, and Sister John caught me on a day, and I'm like, oh wow. It makes that difference. But I think I'm so glad that we're speaking about it, not just me, because it's not just me that's going through things, but I'm glad that we're bringing it to the forefront so that people are able to hopefully get some skills and some tools to be able to walk through it.
Before Nadine goes on, thank you. Are you okay? You okay? Okay. So can I just want to check something before I go any further, because I know you're not. I know it's not going on anyone's faces. Is it live streaming? But no faces, yeah? Okay. And I'm not going to call your name either. I'll just say N or D, whatever. Okay, no, but we're not going to put faces on. We're not going to put faces to this. We're just having a discussion. Miss N.
Stephen, a couple of things that you all touched on. What Sandra said about losing people makes you depressed.
Yeah.
The first thing I have to say, this week, it was, I think it was Tuesday morning. I normally check my phone, but I was rushing for work that day. When I got to work and put my phone down at my desk, I think I checked my phone about 9 o'clock. There was a message sent to me at 5:50 a.m. that morning. A dear friend of my mum had died. And she said, Nadine, I need your help. So then I took some time out. I called her. Her mum was a family friend. I went to see her last night. And Stephen, when I got into her house, she held me for about 10 minutes. She was crying on me. I said, let it out. Just let it out. So I was there for her. For those of you who don't know me deep down, I'm a very caring person. So there's a person at work, Stephen, I'm kind of giving some support with. The person's on the verge of suicide.
Yeah.
I've told Terry about it. He was putting like some dark texts on his WhatsApp, like, I'm not going to be here. And Stephen, I've really reached out. As a young guy as well, not even 30, and very successful, very successful. But the guy is going through a lot.
Yeah.
And even when I was leaving work yesterday, I met him on the stairs and I said, you okay? But I always reach out to him, Stephen, because I might be the only one that's reaching out and helping him.
Yeah.
I even told Terry, some of the things he's putting up is really concerning.
Yeah.
And he has got mental health. He's told me that. He has got mental health. But you're right, you need to reach out, get to know people. And then people are going through a lot.
Yeah.
As you said, you'll say happy Sabbath, but deep down, you don't know what people are going through. My friend, I said to her, any help you want. And even this morning, she messaged me, Nadine, thank you for coming. I even missed choir practice last night. I got to her house about 6 o'clock, and I left the house at 8. This morning she messaged Nadine, thank you for coming round last night because Stephen, I've been there. I
Yeah.
lost 2 parents within 2 years and it was hard. So whatever I can do to help somebody, I'm there for them.
Yeah. And you know something? It's interesting, and I'll come back to that in a minute, that there are multimillionaires out there and billionaires who are depressed. They've got, we think, oh, if I only had some more money, if I only had this, I had that, everything will be all right. Doesn't matter how much money you got in the world, depression still comes. Okay. So let's look at the cause. Let's look at the causes of depression. Next slide, please. Let's look at the causes. We've got to comment. The cause of depression is this: life events. And you know what it is? And it's quite serious. Life events, things happen in life that can bring on some serious depression. I said to the class this morning that we got a message yesterday that a friend of mine in Antigua, whose daughter is 32 and 7 months pregnant, was fine in the daytime and in the afternoon just stopped breathing. She died and the baby died. 32 years of age. The father hasn't even said a word since this happened. He can't speak. He just, I think he's shocked. He just can't talk. But what I'm saying is, he's going to go through a serious stage of depression. And the thing about it is, who's going to be that support network for the brother to go through that kind of life event? So point number 1, life events, seriously, life events can cause significant depression. Trauma. So if you've been some trauma or in your life experience, that can cause depression. But listen to the other one. Trauma or stress. Now listen carefully. This is what called stress. Do you know the stress factors in this country is crazy? Stress at work, stress at home, stress at church. It's actually quite significant. But I think sometimes we take stress for granted. Stress is a very serious thing. And listen to this. According to NHS England, about 3.8% of adults in England have depression as a diagnosed common mental health condition. But guess what? The highest rate is in women, not men. So women are the highest rate of depression in the UK is actually women. And it makes you wonder why. It makes you wonder why is that? It makes you go ahead, Queenie.
Just in regards to that, it might be that men don't actually report or speak to anyone about it.
Okay.
So that might be a factor in.
Okay, yes, men don't report, but the highest rate is women. Say that again, quick, Kipri.
The statistic is, I forgot the statistic, but men are dying by suicide at an alarming rate in the UK over women as well. So I think, sorry to just call you out, but like I think statements like "we work harder," they're quite dangerous statements to be making. To be honest with you, when you're talking about depression and things like that, because then it's like, what about the people that are working hard? That can kind of then put them in a box of feeling worthless, because it's like, you're saying I don't work as hard as you. No, I know, but I know you may not be saying that specifically, but you have to be careful. You have to be careful. You have to be careful with the words that you use, because it can have implications because of the way that people take it. So that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying you are making a statement and you believe that this statement is that way. I'm saying that the statement that you are making, you have to be careful of how it is received. That's all I'm saying. But yeah.
The reason why I said that is because the numbers of women who are single parent and holding a family together, the only parent, growing young people, children on their own. We know the statistics may be that men commit suicide more, but the point is there is a lot of strain on women. And last night we were on a podcast where we were talking about the strong black woman, which is a fallacy. The strong black woman is often the the woman that's broken, the woman that's doing 3, 4 jobs and trying to hold it all together because there isn't, and the male figure is not in the home. And so, these women are now trying to be the strong black women, but find out how many of them are suffering from various illnesses. Depression is a big one. And probably, I'm not saying that men don't get depression and they're not committing suicide. There's also a lot of women who are committing suicide now because of that extra strain and because we try to be the strong people we're not. So there's a lot. I mean, it's on both sides. I think also there's a number of young people that are suffering extreme depression.
Yeah.
And if you look at the media, the number of quite young, in their 20s, in their 30s, who take their lives every day
Yeah.
because of depression, because of, feeling like they can't cope in a society that's very fast. You know, social media is a big thing. I don't blame social media totally, but there are expectations that people have for their lives that are not being realized, and
Okay.
it makes them feel like a failure.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying men don't fail and women don't fail, but I'm saying the reason probably why you have a high figure for women is because if you look at single parentage, that kind of tells the story in itself.
Okay, thank you.
That's why.
Other data from our future project suggests that about 1 in 6 people in the UK report having been diagnosed with depression at some point in their lives. 1 in 6, that's quite high. In other symptoms rather than formal diagnosis, survey shows about 1 in 6 adults report moderate to severe depressive symptoms in a given period. So in a country like the UK, it is quite stressful. Society brings on stress. Even things like raising our council tax, raising our, bills are so high, and the month you got more months than you got money. These things causes stress, right? And I don't know about you, when you feel stressed, you get headaches. Yeah? When you feel stressed, your body starts to react differently. I've got friends who come out in bumps when they're stressed. Yeah? But stress is a big factor that leads also to depression. And the thing is, when you get depressed, it's a challenge to get away from it. It's a challenge to get away from it. Genetics, it could come down from your family. Your grandmother or your mom could have had depressive symptoms or traits or behaviors, and it's passed down genetically to your children. And that's why it's important that we check ourselves and ask ourselves the question in terms of when our moods start to change, when we start to feel fatigued or overwhelmed. Is it that moment, or am I depressed? Or am I stressed out? Or is it just a passing moment? Or is it a fact of depression? Chemical imbalance also causes depression in terms of how our brain works, how chemically we're made up. That can cause depression. But also long-term illness. Long-term illness. When you got that bad back, or you got that, I can tell you now, when I had my bad knee for about 3 months, I was depressed because I'm going to work, walking to the train station, going to work. At one point, I even had a walking stick. I would tell you I was depressed because I see everybody, all right, Steve, and just walking on fast, and I'm there doing this. And I had to cry to God and say, Lord, I can't take this, And it got me into a state where I said, Lord, I can't take no more of this. And thank God, through different remedies, or the Lord heard my cry. He said, boy, I better fix your knee, brother, because where you're going, it could end up going left. So I see Delpha's hand. So what I'm saying is, sometimes life events, things changes in your. One thing before you come in Delpha, age causes significant depression. That's why, I'm 60, I'm 70. Sometimes, let's celebrate, let's have a party. But we don't know what that person's going through, Because there are people out there who I know who are in their 70s and 80s. I can't move like I used to. I can't ride a bike like I used to. And they start to go into a depression. They won't even leave their house. Say, what's the point? Might as well just watch TV all day. That brings on depression too. Life changes can cause depression. Elder P is an example of a man that I don't think is depressed, because the man's always laughing. You right? Always laughing, always smiling. Yeah. You know what I mean? But what I'm saying is you're a character that I know that you always laugh and smile, and they're good traits. But there are some people who just cannot manage. Delpha.
I'm going back to chemical imbalance, and
Yeah.
because most of us are women here, one of the things when you go through your menopause,
Yep.
yes, you can get depressed. I'm just throwing it out there. Menopause is you do get depressed when most people, because of the imbalance of the hormones. The estrogen goes down, the progesterone goes up, and that can cause depression.
So what you're saying is that, because I have to wonder, and maybe you lot can help me because there's more women than men in here. So when you go through a menopausal period, what actually happens?
Because we women, we have more estrogen than men.
Right.
Men have progesterone.
Uh-huh.
So when you go through a menopause, when you're going through menopause, the estrogen level goes down.
Right.
And the progesterone, which is more likely for the men, tends to go up or stay stable.
So why is it you
So
always
the estrogen protects you from certain things. It protects you from your bone, protects the bone.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why we get arthritis. It protects your mind.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why we can become depressed.
Mm-hmm.
And they get irritable. They get hot flushes.
Yes.
Because they don't have that protection there. They can even have hallucinations.
Really?
And or psychosis, or feeling things that are not there and seeing things that are not there. The very, very extreme. Your hair falls out. And that's because of the progesterone. The estrogen is not there.
But do you know that some husbands don't appreciate menopause? Some husbands, they don't see, oh, what's wrong with you? What, just fix up yourself. No. No, you go on. Come on. My dear sister said it starts with the word menopause. So it would indicate that you're blaming men. I hope that wasn't what you were saying. But what I'm saying is that some people don't understand menopause, especially us men.
But there is male menopause as well. So the women may go through what has just been described, but men go through a midlife crisis, but they also have a menopause, because when you see them, nobody in here, like big stomachs, like they get moody, grumpy. Yeah, grumpy. That's where the grumpy old men thing came from. Most men, like in their 50s, 60s, 70s, they're quite grumpy, apart from Brother Punter. Do you know what I mean? They're very, very grumpy. And there's a reason for that, because life has changed. They're not the men that they were before. Women don't notice them like before. And their bodies change as well. And so unless they're really looking after themselves, and men tend not, I think, in old age to look after themselves much, which is probably why you get, more of the stuff around suicide and depression in men.
Okay.
But women, we know it's the menopause that drives that. But do men know what drives theirs, is the question.
That's a good point. I think Ella T had has got a hand up. Or Ella T.
Yeah, so you mentioned about Elder P, but there are some people who hide it very well. And one famous person, which was Robin Williams.
Yeah.
Comedian, laughing, making everyone else laugh. Very famous, very good at what he did, but behind it, he was depressed to the point that he ended his life. And, there's a lot of people like that, laughing, and usually they are some of those that they are the life of the party. But the moment they leave the party, they are they're living in the darkest and most loneliest world you can ever imagine. So it's very a challenging one, because you try to read people and you just can't. And you would want someone like him around because he's always happy. But you have no idea what he's going through. And, for someone to go through that, they must have attempted that many times and backed out from it or failed to do it. But the one last time they did it, then that's it. So, depression comes in various shapes and forms that is very hard to work out.
It's interesting. Many, many years ago, I had a good friend of mine, and laughy, jokey, good guy, no problems, no issues, no drama. He was fine. And one day we saw our friend, and he used to wear this big gold chain. And one day we saw a mark around his neck. I said, what happened to your neck? Oh, someone tried to teach my chain, and they were pulling the chain, and it kind of caught on my neck, and then that's why the mark is there. I wanted to realize that 2 weeks later, he died by hanging himself. And this is the interesting part. When it all came out why it took place, because he wrote a note, he committed suicide because he got into depression. But why? He got into depression because his girlfriend left him. His girlfriend left him. That led him to become depressed. That led him to, he couldn't live without this. For some reason, he couldn't live without this woman. He just couldn't do it. And they had a daughter, and that daughter, obviously, she was the mother of his daughter. And I think the breakup really messed him up to the point where, so it wasn't a thing they did it once. He was trying to do it, as Elder T said, he was trying to do it, but it wasn't working. But at one stage, it did work.
Yeah, as you were speaking, it's making me think. I haven't researched this at all, but I'm just thinking off the top of my head why the rates of suicide and depression might be quite high in men. Because there's traditionally and culturally, in some cultures in particular, generally, man has to be strong and have the stiffer, upper chest, and there is sort of like a shyness towards expressing oneself as a man or crying. If you see a man break down and crying in tears, people are like, whoa, what's happening with him, You need to be the strong one. So I think when you are not able to express your emotion, sometimes it can give way to depression because it's been internalized and there's no outlet. And I think generally, especially in my culture where I've come from, it's frowned upon for a man to be crying and complaining, Immediately they call him a girl or they start to ridicule in that fashion. So I think we need to start teaching our sons and young boys, it's okay to express yourself. And what does that look like in terms of getting in touch with, and they call it feminine side. All of those kinds of labels is kind of dangerous because it probably makes men.
That's a really excellent point, that the men are supposed to be seen as strong and muscular, and they shouldn't be crying, or they shouldn't be sad, or they shouldn't worry. And if you're showing that side of things, you're too girly, man. You're too feminine for our liking. You should. And that, again, men are going through their own different experience, and men do get depressed. I can tell, I've been depressed. I'm not gonna hide it. Yeah, but it's about how you manage that, and we'll come to that. So let's go to the next slide, please. Who can be affected? Depression can affect anyone, regardless of age, gender, or background. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter how old you are or your background. As it was said, Robin Williams, you can be affected by depression. Now let's go to the next slide, please. How depression impacts on daily life. It can affect relationships, work, school, and physical health. So let's break it down. I don't know, but if a man is not in tune, if a married man is not in tune with his wife, and she's going through some depressive challenges, right? Because us men, or vice versa, don't understand, it can cause a breakup in your relationship. Oh, he's always sad. Oh, she's just miserable. Do you understand? But internally, they're a hot mess. But what it is, we need to be in tune with each other. And if someone is going through that depressive state or going through that situation, Try and be support as a married man or a married woman or in a relationship. Try and be supportive. Try and understand what that person could be going through. But oftentimes we're so busy in life, we don't even want to think about it. Oh, that's just the way he is. That's just the way she is, and it's wrong. So it can affect relationships, and also even in church. Because as I said before, I may be a moody person. I'm not going nowhere near Stephen. The man too miserable for my liking. I'm not bothering with him. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? But it could be I'm going through a situation. Work. I tell you one thing I've learned, when you're depressed, you can't even function at work. You start typing nonsense. You start speaking double Dutch. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? You just can't function. You know what the worst thing is? Is having to go to work and being depressed. Because as you wake up in the morning, you're thinking, oh no, I've got to go to work. And already that messes you up, that messes you up already. Because you don't even want to be there. But when you go to work, you got to put a front on. You got to put on this, no. It can affect your work and school. And I think, I'm glad that it said school, because children also get depressed. And children suffer from depression. And that's what I said, when they're being bullied, or they've got no friends, or they're being singled out, or they're not as bright as they would like to be. Because I remember going, and I can say that's why I know about me. I went to Croydon Junior School. When I was 7 years old, they did a test, a writing test, because everybody wanted to write in pen. So we had pencil, and they have to have these tests of writing. And right, if you get this writing test correct, you can get a pen. Brethren, I tried for years, and I couldn't get a pen. And my good friend, I'll give her her first name, Denise, got a pen. I was vexed. But I'm telling you, I recognize now that it wasn't about even competing. I just wanted a pen. I just wanted to write in a pen, but I never quite got there. And what it wasn't writing in capitals, it was writing freestyle writing. And if you notice, if you get a card from me, I only write in capitals. I don't write. Is that cursive? It's a big word, I don't even know. But I don't write cursive. I only write in capitals. Because I think that impacted on me so much, because my freestyle, the cursive writing, didn't get me a pen. So I only write, even now, as I stand today, I only write in capitals. I don't write in lowercase, which is quite a situation for myself. But anyway.
One observation.
Yes.
With school and children,
yep.
It can be difficult to know when a child is depressed unless you know what you're looking for.
Okay.
So sometimes the child bites their nails. That's a sign of something is going wrong.
Yeah.
Sometimes the child might have marks on them. They cut themselves.
Yeah.
Because they say it helps to release
yes.
the stress that's there. Sometimes they don't eat.
Yes.
Or they grind their teeth.
Yeah.
Or they blink. They blink quite a lot.
Yeah.
So these are signs. Sometimes, especially if those who are teenagers, they don't take care of themselves.
Yeah.
They don't just care. They don't care about themselves. They might come to school with smelly, their arms smelly. Yeah, they just don't take care of themselves.
Because sometimes, you're right, because sometimes there are children that go to school that don't shower. There's something that's gone on in their experience. They just don't shower. And then you say, oh, you stink, you smell. But what's the underlying issue for that child or young person? And that's why I don't write nobody off, because we don't know what they're experiencing. We don't know what they're going through. We don't know what they've experienced as a child or a young person growing up. But that's, when I chair child protection conferences, oftentimes the mother comes in and the first thing they say, she's depressed. The first thing, because of the behaviors. So it's not neglecting her children, because she's depressed, it leads to the impact of not functioning as a mother should do. But is that a reason to write the mother off? No, it's not. So it's about support. It's not about causing harm. It's about what support can we give. So when I chair conferences, I chair it from a supportive perspective. It's not about judging or condemning. It's about supporting. And when you talk to parents in that language, they kind of get it, because they think, well, I'm going to a child protection conference. All they're going to do is run me down and condemn me and judge me that I'm a bad mother. I don't do it that way. When I chair conferences, I say, listen, It's not about condemning, it's about what support the network can give you to get you to the place you want to be. And they get it. You understand? But when you go in there with that attitude of, well, you know, you're neglecting your child, you're not doing this, you're not doing that, it pushes them back further and makes it worse for them.
So on the opposite side, to also,
And then Nikki,
the children
then
can
N.
get very angry
Yep.
or bully someone else.
Yeah.
Especially if, or they can be very quiet and moody, especially if they are being abused at home or molested.
Yep.
And they don't want to say it out loud. Their behavior, the change of behavior is completely different. So you know that something is wrong.
Yep. And then Sister N.
Can also affect your spiritual life.
Yep.
Because unfortunately, there are lots of Christians who also commit suicide.
Yeah.
Because they're so depressed. So it can affect all of those things, including your spirituality.
Thank you very much. Next slide, please. So ways to manage depression. So you've got things like talking therapies. It's quite good to talk about. And there's experts out there, and I'll give you the details in a minute. There are people who are trained in dealing with these sort of behaviors. One is called talking therapies. Now, the second one is medication. Now, some people do not like medication, yeah? But there are times when medication is required. Now, I wouldn't tell anybody not to take medication or to take medication, but there are times when the only thing with medication is that you become reliant on it. And that's when it gets tricky, when you start becoming reliant on medication. But talking therapies is a way of managing that depression. And that's what I said, because we sometimes don't like talking, it pents up inside of you, and to the point where you start to get overwhelmed. And as was said earlier on, self-harming could be an escape mechanism, because when I feel the pain, I start to feel better, which is kind of strange. It's a strange feeling to know that by cutting yourself, you actually, because you're more pained in the depression than you are pained by the physical cut of a ruler or a scalpel. I saw some hands, Dawn, and then, sorry, D, then S, then P.
So I've done talking therapies just recently.
Okay.
What had happened, and I have to say, it was the statement when they say it's a godsend, and for more than one reason, because obviously you're talking to somebody that's their job, but also sometimes when something is ongoing, you feel like you're offloading too much on your friends and your close community. So that gives you an opportunity to talk, because that's the purpose of them being there. And then that gives you the opportunity to work through and progress. I strongly, extremely strongly, whatever other adjective come in, would recommend it, because it was a free service from the GP, and it really helped in terms of helping you regulate what's going on. Like even me crying, that's regulating my emotions, to be able to let it out as opposed to
keeping it in. Okay. And then this person here? Yeah.
I was going to say, is it better to speak to the experts than to speak to your community? Because sometimes I think people don't know what to say or how to say it. And sometimes they can make the situation worse. Because if you're just, basically you're harsh, it's going to be better. I don't know, sometimes it might be better to go to an expert. I don't know, what do you think?
I think it's important. Both of them are important, because your community sees you.
Okay.
And they hear you. So even though you're not looking for the talking therapies professional thing, the fact, the hug, a call, that's huge. That's just as much as being able to talk to the talking therapist. So I think both.
Okay, so Miss K, I'd like a point. I want you to give your view on that, about professionalism or community, and then we'll go to Miss D. What's your view?
So, talking therapy, Miss D did say that it helped her a lot. There are different types of therapy as well, so depending on what your issue is, because some people it could be you're grown up, so you might need CPD.
Okay.
And they will kind of teach you coping strategies and stuff like that. Psychotherapy, which kind of delves deeper into childhood and various different things. So it depends on what actually is the issue. So when you kind of speak with your GP,
Yeah.
they can kind of signpost you to whoever you might need to speak with. So that is very helpful for a lot of people. I've done psychotherapy, very helpful for me.
Okay.
Because I'm one of those people, I think of all the different scenarios, things that I can do to change and whatever. But sometimes you need to go a bit deeper than just talking, because I can talk for the world. So
Okay.
talking therapy, I think I needed a bit more why I do what I do and what I can do to change at the core, basically.
Okay.
Medication, yeah, it is helpful for some. Well, I wouldn't even say some. A lot of people, I think they find it quite helpful. It could be a combination of therapy, medication, your community support, various different things, practical support. So I wouldn't write off medication, because I know of a lot of people that there are thoughts that, it's not going to help us as Black people. We don't need medication. They're trying to override our brains and whatever. But I think becoming a bit educated on what the medication is, asking questions, getting a bit more information, that can kind of help with.
Thank you. Miss L and Miss D.
I think a lot of it is environmental factors, which everyone's kind of touched on, but I think it's really important that we acknowledge how those factors really do have an impact. Because when Miss N talked about her transition from Jamaica here, you know, the way her mom dealt with it. And sometimes it's because our parents didn't have an experience of situations like these, nor how to manage them. So it is about us as parents, as us being a different generation, younger generation, being able to learn stuff and then nurture our children differently, nieces and nephews differently, being encouraging, being supportive, because all of this feeds into it. I think also as well, we have to be mindful of the term, because when you say commit suicide,
Yep.
it's the implication that you've committed a crime. So now they are encouraging us to say death by suicide,
Okay.
not committed suicide. So it's about educating ourselves
Yep.
in the way we speak,
Okay.
especially because then it, again, community-based culturally, it's shameful. It brings shame on the community,
Yep.
on family members, plus the additional stress of pressure and all the rest of
Thank
it.
you.
So it's about using kind of language,
Yep.
basically.
Death by suicide. Thank you for that. And it was Miss D.
I want to add another one onto
Yeah. Cool.
ways to manage depression. But before I do that, so maybe most of you don't know, I'm a trained mental health nurse. And one of the ways that we were trained, that if someone comes in to talk to you and they don't want to talk, you just let them sit there, because that might bring comfort to them.
Okay.
Just let them sit. When they're ready, you don't force them, you don't force yourself on them, you don't ask them any questions. Let them bring it out themselves. Yes, there are some medications that are there to help, but they do have a lot of side effects.
Yep.
And we have to be very careful of what medication we get, because sometimes the side effects outweigh
Okay.
what they're treating.
Right.
There are also herbal medication out there that can be used for some of the medication that is being given to us.
Okay.
But how should I put it? They say if you're getting a medication, you don't take that herbal. So you can see that
Yeah. The conflict.
you can overdose. Exercise is brilliant.
Yes.
It is a brilliant thing. You walk, you clear your mind,
Yep.
you put something else, you sing,
Yeah.
you praise the Lord. Brilliant.
Yeah. I totally agree
Your
with you.
support network,
Yes.
that's a protective factor for you. Your support. If you have a good family support, or if you have one person who can help you, it is a protective factor for you.
Amen. Thank you.
The other thing that I want to, you have healthy routines. The other thing I want is spirituality.
Okay.
Your religion,
Yep.
whether it's Christian or Muslim, whatever it is a protective factor. And I find that a lot of people of black people, African, Caribbean. That is what they turn to most have, when they are stressed or they have a problem. And I've just done my master's. I've just done a research on spirituality and mental health.
Brilliant.
And I find that it does help a lot. All the researches that I have done, it shows that spirituality in the Caribbean and the African, whether it's voodoo or whether it's Christianity, as I said, it does protect them from going into that deep, deep depression.
Thank you.
Because once you get into the deep depression, it does take you a longer, longer time to come out. And then all the other psychiatric mental conditions come under. When you have the mild depression, it's very easy. But once you get into that chronic depression, you have hallucinations, you have everything. So protective spirituality is a very good thing. I was reading somewhere in Ellen G. White. It says, when you're in that stage, your brain is empty. So the devil put anything in. So we have to be careful of what we put in. We sing, we praise the Lord, we take exercises, we eat right. And that is what will help. We pray a lot. That is what will help.
Thank you. Yeah.
Having experienced most of these things that I didn't know about, and being an orphan at the age of 11, my mother died when I was 9, my father died when I was 11. Had a sister 2 years older than I was, and I had to leave school because my uncle decided he is not going to take on the responsibility, and my aunt didn't want to know. So at the age of 11, I had to become an adult. Now I am listening because really I didn't know nothing about those things.
Right.
What I knew is about exercise.
Yeah.
And now I am listening, I can thank God because although I wasn't really conscious,
Yeah.
I used to exercise. Steve, that was my thing.
Yeah.
In my day, I made my own gym. I made my own dumbbells and whatsoever. And I run a lot.
Yeah.
I walk a lot. And it is paying off even at this age.
Amen. Yeah, I remember.
When I came to this country, I wasn't a Christian because really I had a good teacher. He was too holy for me. So I always do things just to upset him. Anyway, coming to this country and meeting the problems of becoming an adult and having children, I had to focus on something else completely. And this is what I will say to my brother Vin. Regardless to what experience life may bring your way, keep a positive disposition. Don't allow things to get on top of you. This is one of the problems that I notice with people in general. Their problem gets on top of them, and it becomes not only a problem for them, but maybe for people around them.
Yeah.
But if you keep a positive outlook, always have this confidence that you are bigger than your problem. Sometimes I look at people that has the opportunity to do well, but situation, they cannot cope with it. You know, that thing we call exercise,
Yeah.
if we really determine to do better with our bodies, and our bodies can take pressure, exercise,
Hmm.
it gives you mental clarity. It helps your muscle to develop. It makes you become confident,
Hmm.
and it gives you reassurance.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. So let's go to the next slide, please. How to support someone. So I think Miss D spoke about it. She said the first point was listen without judgment. And that's the key, because sometimes we listen to something and we judge the person straight on what they're just saying. Yeah? Also, encourage help, encourage, seek support. Be patient. Be patient with that person who's going through that situation, but also stay connected to that person. And I think what Miss D was talking about, sometimes just sit there and let them, if they want to offload, they'll offload. They may find comfort in just sitting there and say nothing. The fact that someone's with them is good enough for them. But again, be patient. And I think that's where we go wrong sometimes. We're not patient enough with each other. We just snap. We're snapping. This journey is not a sprint, it's a marathon. Next slide, please. When to seek help. Now, you may have a different view to me. If symptoms of depression last more than 2 weeks or interfere with daily life, seek professional support. Because you can have a mild depression and it goes into severe depression. So if symptoms last more than 2 weeks or interfere with your daily life, seek professional help. Go to your GP, and I'll give you some other people you can go to in a minute. Next slide, please. Remember, you're not alone. So tell anybody who's feeling low or feeling depressed, they are not alone. Help is available, and recovery is possible. You can overcome depression. You can. And my final slide is the UK support services. You've got your GP as your first point of contact. You've got National Health Talking Therapies. You've got the Samaritans. You can even call NHS 111 for urgent service. You can call them, they'll listen to you. If you're feeling really bad, you've got 999 or A&E in emergency. If you're feeling in that kind of state, go to A&E and talk to somebody. They'll direct you in the right place. And also, there are local mental health services and charities. So there's, and you can take a picture if you want to, but then you can come and talk to me as well. But these are the professionals that you can seek help to. But I will say this: the greatest support you'll ever receive is on Jesus Christ. The Cornerstone Christian Counsel Service as the SEC, which is good. Yes. Okay.
I think what Sister Dolpha said about, spirituality. Sometimes the depression is about spirituality. Sometimes the depression is about church hurt. And
Okay.
there is a lot of people from my generation who left church who will never come back because of the levels of church hurt. And those people suffer depression in a big way.
Yeah.
So when you're thinking that you are addressing something, thinking, I'll go to Cornerstone, is Cornerstone necessarily going to be okay, or will it trigger that person?
Okay.
Sometimes we're wondering, why are our children not in church? You get to the bottom of it, it is sometimes about the experience they've had here.
Mm-hmm.
And so the depression is about a lot of things that sometimes we find it hard to talk about because it triggers us, because we have to address some stuff that maybe we didn't do, or things we overlooked, or things we allowed to happen around us because of the environment that we were supporting. And so, there's a lot of historical stuff that has created a lot of mental health.
Yeah.
And I think when we look at it, don't just look at it as, this is a place for the saving bit. There's also a lot of hurt here as well and has been. and some of it has never been addressed. So not to be, not to say we can't help people, but we need to understand, where does the hurt come from?
You may have covered it because I came over a bit late. And but first thing I want to say is this is a big problem. And all the beautiful listings there, they can't cope with the volume and the seriousness of what's going on. People, it's a wing and a prayer. And these services do exist, and a lot of them are really helpful, but they are overwhelmed. And a lot of people are slipping through the net because, and I'm seeing it in my place of work, people are coming and talking to people who are barking just off the rockers, history of depression, mental health disorders. And, if they answer 2 questions, okay, all right, safe for discharge, getting rid of the problem because they can't handle it at the moment. There's no capacity. All right, that being said, you may have covered what I'm about to ask. Because this thing is a big problem now, because Brother P just whispered in my ear, do you have any of these listings in your country? You've never heard of this sort of level of support for depression growing up. It wasn't such a big thing. I'm not saying it wasn't present, but the scale on which we're seeing it with younger children now and so on, it's not something many of us are familiar with, especially coming from external lands. So, my question is, what's our plan for, and is this a real statement, prevention? Because it's an emotion we all will go through, because all the things that add up to make depression over a period of time is sustained emotions that we should experience normally, which we were built in with, but it's when it's sort of staying with us longer than it needs to be. So is there preventative cautions and measures? What can we look at ahead of time to say, you know what, this tide is coming? 5 years ago, we knew this was going to happen. When COVID hit, we all said there's going to be a big fallout from this COVID with depression, and boy, it's here. And so I'm asking, what can we look at preventative-wise in the sense that, going ahead of the curve for this issue? And the reason I'm saying that also because I think partly responsible, especially among the younger generation, is social media, something we did not have. So in terms of recognizing this thing in our country, partly because we didn't have the social media that is here today. So, yeah.
Question about prevention. So education is very important. So if you know that something's coming, you're gonna okay. If you know a storm is coming, when Melissa was coming in Jamaica, people were barricading the roof and door, and they knew it was coming. So when you think about depression within yourself, and that's why education is important, the symptoms, the cause, and so forth. If you see something coming, it's time to seek help. But you see, oftentimes we don't seek the help until we're in the middle of the eye of the storm. So, and sometimes, especially in men, we're very proud. Well, that's nothing to do with me. I'm not getting involved in all that. But if something's coming, if you know a cold is coming, if you're getting a sore throat, last week you had a cold. I see you with the Lemsip. I see you with this and that. You cover your nose. And this Sabbath, you're a lot better. But because you use some preventative measures while you're talking well and you're so forth. So it's about seeking that preventative help before it comes. So if you see that your body's changing, if, like, for example, menopause or postnatal depression, or if you see that your daily function isn't quite what it used to be, if you're seeing that you're sleeping for 7 hours one time, now it's only 2 hours, then you got to think, well, hold on a minute, there's something wrong. So I need to seek some support and help. And I think your point was very valid. These guys are stretched. They are stretched. But I will say before Miss D comes in that, and I'm not saying as a cliche, I'm saying as a fact. In my experience, we played a song earlier on in the kitchen. I'll lift up mine eyes to the hills, from whence comes my help. My help comes from the Lord. Miss D.
I'm just going to talk about exercise and comment on what you just
Yeah,
said.
yeah, yeah.
Brother P, when we exercise, there is a hormone called dopamine that is released, the happy hormones. That's why it's good for us to exercise, even walk 15 minutes. Um, Last year I was walking quite a lot. I used to walk from work to home. And you feel bouncy, you feel good as you jog along. So exercise is really good for the mind. There's one thing that you said that we sometimes we do not know when we have the depression, because when we're in it, we don't see it. So we need to have people around us who sees it, especially when it comes to children. They can't tell what they're feeling. They don't know. They know they're going something through something, but they can't tell. So um, this program is very good because it opened up our eyes. And maybe we can do it for the kids in a different manner,
Yes.
to let them know that support, people are there. They do it a lot in schools. And they said for them to, you need to look at this, you need to look at that, make sure nobody do this to you, make sure nobody do that to you. They do it a lot. But from a spiritual point of view,
Yeah.
we need to do it for the children in the church.
Yeah.
And education is big. We can't do it just once and leave it.
That's right.
We have to do it over and over again until it imprints into our brain.
Mm.
Because mental health, it's not an easy thing when you get it. It just mess up the whole family, the whole community. And some of us tend to hide it so we don't know that our neighbors,
Yeah.
oh, I have mental health, is problems. So it just mess up the whole person. And my last one is that the devil is smiling because he gets one.
Yeah. So before Miss K and then Miss R with the final point, Miss L always says to me, we have these programs and then we just have the one program and then it's done and we don't discuss ever again or we don't have follow-ups. What I'm gonna say today is this. Now, it's about trust and confidence and confidentiality. But if anyone's going through anything, find somebody that you're comfortable talking with, right? Somebody that you know that if you tell them something, they're not going to bring it down the road. Because it's not about having this program and then shutting the door and then go out of business. No, it's about a continuation. I mean, I'm available to speak to, I'm available to be around, and I can assure you that whatever said to me doesn't go nowhere. And I can say I trust my sister Nikki because I've told her something about my life and we've prayed about it. I know it's not going to go nowhere. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? But you need that outlet. So it's not about just having a program and then saying, boom, the line is closed. No, I'm not doing that. It's about being available, right? So I'm just going to say this. I get paid to do these things in public. I get paid. I'm giving the church for free because it's my church and it's my community and I love my church. You understand what I'm saying to you? So I'm available. Last point, Miss K, Miss R, then we're going to pray to close and shut it down.
So I don't know if anyone knows, I'm an occupational therapist and I work within mental health. When I qualified, I went into acute and crisis. So as Sister R said, we are very stretched. But that's not to say that if you needed the support, you wouldn't get it. But just some different things that we kind of look at when we're working with some of the patients or clients that we're working with is in occupational therapy, we look at you holistically. So it will be spirituality. It would be, can you do your activities of daily living, which would mean, are you bathing? Are you brushing your teeth? Are you doing your personal care? What is it that you're doing? If you're not doing it, then what can you do to do it? You're not brushing your teeth? Colgate have these little disposable brush thingies that have toothpaste on it. So if you're not able to get out of bed, brush your teeth, you can use that. So there are various different things that typically you would do, but if you're not able to do it, if you're not bathing, wet wipes, keep them by your bed and just freshen yourself up just to make yourself feel a bit better. Also, interests and hobbies are a really big thing. If you're not staying active and doing stuff, that can lead you further in the way you're going. So you need to keep active. So as Sister D said, exercise. But also, we do interest checklists with people. So what do you like doing? There's various different things. It could be something as simple as I like walking and looking at the horses in the countryside. or I like people watching from a cafe. Any little thing. It's not even too little. It could just be anything. Just do something. But again, talk. Talking's free. Talking's good. It relieves you. It empowers you. It helps you. Like there's a lot of people here in the church. We might not trust each other, but Sister D here, we ask about each other's parents. We have our little catch-ups. Same with you. I have my catch-ups. Me, I'll talk with anyone. I don't really care. Other people are not that way inclined, but yeah, do find someone that you do feel comfortable with. A burden shared is a problem halved. So yeah, that's all I want to say. Music therapy as well.
The talking therapists, are they still the same people?
Yeah, quite like, I don't know if it's Q or K. It is K, is it? Was saying, because maybe I shouldn't be bringing this bit up, because I think that was a nice way to end, really nice tips. But I just wanted to make the point of the thing of depression when it arrives and it's there, the will for people to ask for help is not so easy. So then you have a problem, isolation, because they isolate and it's the worst thing for it. So this is why I'm back on the prevention point. And I'm using prevention with quotations because, it's about tracking when it's becoming a thing. And also I'm in line with looking for the preventative measure. Foods. We talk about the dopamine release and these things. The foods, the stimulants, these foods are dangerous, and young children are engaging in these kinds of quick foods that have all these elements of stimulants that affect the balance with the dopamine. And so I think they're even more vulnerable because then they've got that, the foods they're eating, night has become day, so the circadian rhythm is disrupted, which actually regulates the dopamine and the serotonin, which helps to create that balance to keep them out of the zone of depression. We're also in a country there is limited sunlight and all these other factors that it's like a multiple point attack. So it is an enemy's attack in practical things he's using to get to us. And I don't know what the answer is, but I do recognize there's multiple corners that you really need protection. Because this thing is going to come your way whether you like it or not. If it doesn't catch you, it's catch your children, your grandchildren. And the one other thing I've observed is sheltering your children as well. I mean, again, I'm going back to Brother P looking for the list in Jamaica and in Guyana. The problem is, I am finding, not a sole problem, but I think it's a contributory one. We have provided for our children in this country to a point where there's certain level of manual labor and hard work they're not accustomed to, they don't know what it is. And so they've got time to put pet names, and I don't want to sound like I'm rubbishing depression. I'm not trying to do that. But the names that are attached to these things and so on, and I know it because my daughter's studying psychology, and so there's a lot of this thing we talk about. But we hadn't had time for this because you're busy looking for water in the next village. And I think it helped. And when we didn't have ice cream and certain things for snacks, we had to climb the nearest guava tree or whatever it is. Well, guava tree wasn't so easy to climb, but the point I'm making is a whole lot has changed, and I'm thinking in the line of prevention. Maybe, let's not spoil our children too much. I'm talking to myself. Maybe let them work for a few things. Let them appreciate hardship in a way that, yeah.
Sorry, can I just say one last thing, just in regards to the vitamin D?
Miss K, go ahead.
Blood tests, I think, for Black people is very important, especially vitamin D can mimic signs of depression as well. So if you are low in vitamin D, you can have that low mood and all of that as well. So that is very crucial. And as well, with children, it is okay for them to be bored. I think boredom, not having boredom and wanting to fill up all of your time with different things and doing whatever, it's okay to sit in silence. So yeah, just those two things.
Okay.
Done. We bought a treadmill. Everybody bought a treadmill at Christmas. If you didn't have one, we were given one. I was given one. Thank you. And what we do every day when I'm working at home at 12 o'clock, we all get on the treadmill at the same time for half an hour. We tread together. We log on to WhatsApp and we speak to each other as we are treading. And we talk about the day, how it's going, how everybody's feeling, because mental health is real. You know what I
Yes, it
mean?
is.
So we talk about their stresses, what's going on, and then we have a catch up about 7 o'clock where we just support each other.
Amen.
And I found it so good because I now have a real idea of what's going on in my family. Sometimes just that, because it's social as well as it's physical, the exercise, it's allowed us to talk in a way we couldn't talk before and to really just express what's going on that minute, on the day, not waiting for a week or 2 weeks later. On that day, what's going on for you? Are you okay? Is everybody all right? Move on.
And my last point, Sister Ella, and then we're going to...
Really, really is the last point. So, supposing I don't have affordability for a treadmill or a mobile with WhatsApp data so I can tread with other people. So all of this is like, this is your definite wish list, but we also have to think about those families who are underprivileged, who are in poverty, who are really, really struggling, who may not have a faith, who may not understand spirituality. All of those things, we have to also think about how do we reach out and support those families. Because maybe if I'm skin at a tenner, I'm not actually going to come and tell you because you're going to be thinking, but hang on a minute, how come she come in dress up every week and I throw money, you know? So you know what I mean? When we have these sessions, we really have to think broad, deep, and wide, because as I said, not everybody is in a position to do some of these wonderful things. And then again, that leads to people feeling, well, how comes me? How comes Miss S and Miss, you know, so you do. So that goes back to the beginning in terms of feeling low self-esteem, self-worth, why can't I? How comes this person can be? It's broad, it's wide, it is so deep. And yeah, it has to be, as I said, not something that we just tap on once and then
No.
everyone go home and think everything's all right.
Point taken. What? Okay. Okay, beloved. Thank you. Okay. First of all, what I want to say is that this is it's a huge topic. It's not, you can't put it into a little bottle. But what I wanted to do tonight was to just to bring some information to share with you that this depression is real in the church and also in the world. All right? And it's real for our families, for our children, for our neighbors and our community. It's more today is about looking at cause, effect, impact, why, and what we can do to try and alleviate and support other people who are going through these situations, okay? And like I said, spiritual-wise, I'm telling you this now, the best prevention is the Father. I can't say enough. When you're in that mode of depression, or just pray at that moment. But then you've got to follow up with some practical things if required. But I'm telling you, when you seek the Lord, the Bible says, I hear the cry of my people, right? But depression is real. It ain't going nowhere fast, and it's going to get worse. I hope today that the little time we spent, I hope we find it profitable to be here today. I know that we just stay this late, but thank you for staying. And I hope it's opened our eyes to certain things and how we can take this and support somebody else in our family. And Miss D harped on, so I listened very carefully. She harped on a lot about children, which is absolutely fine, because our children are the next generation. And if we're going through stuff, imagine what they're gonna go into and what they're gonna put up with, yeah? But I pray that we will take some stuff away with us today If you have any questions, you can contact me. You got my phone number. You can contact me, whatever, we can talk. But the main thing is about looking after yourself. Seriously, you're not worthless. You're not. Despite what ailment or problems or whatever your situation, you are not worthless. You're a child of God. There's a crown of righteousness waiting for you. There's a long white robe. There's golden slippers, sea of glass, the tree of life. It changes. Fruit changes every 12 months, different fruit. That's what we've got to look forward to. We've got to try and get other people, our children. You know, one of the biggest cries I hear mostly, my children are not in church no more. And that could bring the parents' depression. It brings on, because they're so worried about their children, we become depressed as well. You know, Jodie doesn't go to church, and I'm trying to encourage her. Actually, no, they're not in church. They're not going to church. And you try and say, oh, why is your faith so strong? Because I know what I believe in. But I said to them, whenever you're in trouble, you come to me. When you got a problem, you're not dealing with it. You're saying, Dad, I need. You understand what I'm saying to you? I'm saying to you, there's someone bigger than me. His name is Jesus. Tap into him. So, brethren, as we pray and close, I pray that we've been able to share together. And thank you for taking the time to be here. And look out for people. Look out for each other. It's important. Let us pray. Father in heaven, thank you for the opportunity where we can spend time sharing with each other on this huge topic. Lord, the only solution to this topic in reality is your son, Jesus. But Father, we recognize you've got skilled people on this earth to support people who are going through different struggles in their own life. Help us, Lord, to look out for each other. Help us to build relationships. Help us to build friendships. Help us not to be judgmental or condemning, but help us to listen and be there. And Father, a special prayer for our children, dear God, because our children are going through stuff that we haven't got a clue or we can't comprehend. And oftentimes we just write them off. But Lord, give us that understanding. Give us that patience, that know-how to continue, dear Father. Don't let this be a one-off session, dear Lord. Please help us to be available for each other and look at ways of prevention and cure. But Father, we recognize, dear Father, the only cure that we know works 100% is Jesus Christ. As we talk to our friends and our family in the community, let us introduce Jesus to them as a depression buster. As we leave this place, dear Father, take us home safely, give us a fresh week as we continue in the week, dear Father, and if your will, let us come in on Sabbath and praise you and worship you again. Thank you for your goodness and mercy. I pray in the name of Jesus. Amen. The next topic will be on anxiety, and it'll be on the 3rd Sabbath of February. So that we're doing anxiety. I believe it's the 24th of, I think it's the 24th or 21st of February. We're doing anxiety. 24th February will be anxiety. God bless you all.